garages everywhere. Mechanics meet, Farkles are wrenched, rides are planned, stories are told, and dreams are hatched. This is our garage. Welcome to Farkle Garage. I'm Kim Rock. Beside me, Farkle fanatic and IBA rider Clive Ironbutt Brown, Mr. Harley-Davidson Motorcycle Hall of Famer Steve Jane, and Rookie Riding Instructor of the Year, Dar Duncan. And over my shoulder, a more genteel Farkle Garage band. Scotty's away on a gig playing with his sticks. On today's show, Clive talks spring bike prep, Dar gives us riders a tune-up, Steve visits a dream bike maker, and we'll meet the cutest biker ever. Aww. But first, the crew gets ready for spring with a visit to Farkle Central, the Vancouver Motorcycle Show. All this and more on this episode of Farkle Garage. The Riders Candy Store, the Vancouver Motorcycle Show, motorcycles and Farkles everywhere. Let's have a taste.
Fantastic opportunity to come together as an industry and a community. And you can tell that the community here in the Lower Mainland is passionate about power sports.
I love motorcycles.
It's awesome. I love riding.
I'm a bike nut.
Bikes, bikes, bikes.
I love to ride.
The wind blowing past you.
You're in the atmosphere instead of looking at it.
Gives you a bit of a thrill.
Freedom. I like the culture. I like the freedom.
Freedom.
I got my license last year, bought my Harley last year. Life is great. 35 years. This is a popular show. It's an annual show. It's the major manufacturers gather under one roof. Action attractions, accessory products, training schools, charity rides. It's all here. It's a fantastic opportunity.
I just love it. It's what I do.
Adrenaline. Yeah, the thrill. Why not? I live to ride.
The Farkle Garage crew live to ride as well. The Vancouver Motorcycle Show gives us an opportunity to check out new bikes, new gear, meet up with new friends, and find a few more Farkles before the riding season really takes off.
I'm looking for bags. Loving this.
Helmets. I'm here for helmets.
I really like this trials bike.
Oh, you gotta like that. Out looking for a new seat, and there's a seat for every ass.
The Vancouver Motorcycle Show draws roughly 34,000 motorcycle enthusiasts over 3 days every January. You can bet we'll be back again next year.
So many Farkles, so little time. Before you know it, the good weather's going to be on us. Time to check that bike over, or as the English say, make sure it's well fettled. Let's head back to the garage. Ultimately, the responsibility of your motorcycle lays with you. Doesn't matter if you took it into a shop, it's up to you to make sure it's safe. I'm going to tell you how to get safe dates on your motorcycle that are going to be okay with your significant other. 3 areas on a motorcycle that have dates: tires, helmets, and brake lines. You guys may or may not have known that. Very easy to check on the tire. It's on the sidewall right after it says DOT. The brake lines are all dated. Ray Bestos, one of the major manufacturers, says good for maybe 5 years. This particular one here is 7th month of 2001. That's long out of date. It obviously doesn't look happy, but sometimes they can look good, should be replaced. Helmets have inside, pull the liner out, which you can do on the vast majority of helmets. There'll be a date of manufacture on the inside of the helmet. Good for 5 years. While you have this out, by the way, you should wash it. Maybe even think about replacing it. It'll feel like a new helmet. Why do you need to replace a helmet in 5 years? Perspiration from your head wicks through the liner, goes into the foam on the inside, breaks down the foam on the inside of the helmet, will not protect your head. Why do you need to replace the brake line? Brake fluid gets hot. Have you felt a rotor after you've hit the brakes? It gets really hot. You'll boil the fluid. Fluid absorbs water. Hit the brakes, boiling fluid causes steam. Next thing you know, you've got a spongy brake line. Brakes are not going to stop the motorcycle correctly. It's unsafe. Tires, why do you need to replace them? This is a brand new tire. It's absolutely hard as a rock. It's because it's off-gassed, as it's called. You buy this at a garage sale, 50 bucks, I got a great deal. Great way to kill yourself. Not a good idea at all. Spring tune-ups are important, but don't forget those dates. It's your butt in the seat. Now, let's get back to the Vancouver Motorcycle Show. I need some Farkles.
Made beautifully.
Fantastic.
Get your leg out of the way and crash.
The bikes are tuned, but how about the riders? After the break, we take a rip around the parking lot to refresh our road skills. And we'll take a look at lane position, up next on Farkle Garage.
Before you start riding in traffic again, stop a moment. Then go weave through some cones. Perished skills can mean perished riders.
Not enough practice, not enough saddle time.
Even the best riders practice.
Practice is one of the most important things a motorcycle operator can do.
And your skills are rusty. Awesome, Kim. You need to be reflexive when you're riding.
Knowing your equipment, your bike, huge.
Turned and looking where you want to go.
Find an empty parking lot and get riding. No cones, no problem.
Tennis balls cut in half. They make the perfect pylon. Small, portable. They don't scream too much when you run them over.
When was the last time you practiced low speed riding? A U-turn or proper stops?
Left foot down, right up on the brake.
Because you want to know what your bike's going to do when you have to do it in an emergency, and you want it to be automatic.
The RCMP says the majority of fatal crashes involve men 40 to 69 years old.
And when you're driving a car, you have 2,000 pounds of steel that's engineered to protect you. On a motorcycle, you have nothing.
Most deaths in this age group are due to rider error. Riders getting back into biking after years, in some cases decades of not riding.
Anytime you've had an extended period of time off a motorcycle, best thing for you and people around you is to get some training.
Awesome, Kim.
Practice makes better. Take a course and relearn those road skills.
The big one is lane position.
Lane position, absolutely.
People are riding in a non-dominant position. They'll be riding in the curb lane.
And they don't assert lane dominance, which is really important when you're in traffic, because then cars aren't going to be sharing your space, and it also makes you highly visible.
Be dominant. Get out there. Make people see you on the road.
The other big ones, scanning ahead and shoulder checks.
It's a good shoulder check. And this one skill will save your life. That is how it's done.
Change those perished skills into cherished memories.
Practice, practice, practice. Up next, the well-practiced Team Empire stunt riders and some dream bikes. Let's go back to the Vancouver Motorcycle Show.
dream bike?
Absolutely.
My dream bike, the Suzuki DR650.
Comes factory Farkled.
This is my dream bike.
So you're not going to add any more Farkles?
Of course I am.
My dream bike is a Panigale Ducati 959.
But what if your dream bike's not here? What if it's not even new? What then? Maybe you're already riding your dream bike. You just don't know it yet. So, close your eyes. It's okay to dream.
You dream it, we build it.
Al's a dream weaver.
Starts with pen and paper, some pictures, and an idea.
The dream.
Love the old stuff.
Al and wife Wanda are Whiplash Customs in Saanich, BC.
Custom Harleys, custom metrics, or bobbers, choppers, restorations.
From commuters to show bikes.
I love it.
Built with passion.
Your heart and soul goes into these bikes.
Commitment.
You know, you usually spend way more time and extra hours and money than you should.
And pride.
Our name's on it, so I want to do a little extra and just make it that much better.
Jobs begin as rideable bike or basket case. From the idea, Al gets building.
Tweak it a little bit. Try to make him happy, yeah.
But once the raw bike goes together, he likes to work his dream magic alone.
Usually my rule is the customer can't come see it till it's finished.
I've known Al since he began building his own dream bike. This one, 16 years ago. Since then, he's surrounded himself with things precious to him.
In my heart, it's the old stuff.
Crank it over.
40s and 50s, they just had it.
Today, as often happens, his dreams come last.
I've got a chopper I've been trying to build for 3 years, and I think I've sold half the parts for it already.
But still,
it's my dream job, and I honestly didn't even really see it coming.
A dream job in a dream shop, surrounded by bikes past and present.
Never stop dreaming.
And when the morning dawns,
wow, it's a lot of my life right there.
Those dreams ride off into the day.
A lot of them you never see again.
But sometimes they never leave.
That's a good example of, you know, becoming friends over time. Starts with a client. Next thing you know, you're having beers together.
Thoreau said that dreams are the touchstones of our characters.
It's just pretty cool.
So close your eyes and dream.
It's wonderful, yeah. I wouldn't change it for the world.
We'll be right back.
Did you find some more Farkles?
Well, of course I did. I'm in Farkle Central here, Kim.
Of course you did. Well, we got a blast. What a day. The Vancouver Motorcycle Show visits a host of cities every year, dropping in on Vancouver every January, so mark your calendars. Up next, we profile a biker whose cute best friend always has his back. From the Vancouver Motorcycle Show, I'm Kim Rock, and you're watching Farkle Garage.
He goes with me everywhere.
They don't always walk, but wherever they go,
he's got my back all the time.
These Esquimalt guys are inseparable.
Almost brothers.
A gang.
If it wasn't for genetics.
Cully's this man's best friend.
I was at the dilemma where I thought I had to choose between riding and getting a service dog.
A life of soldiering has taken its toll.
2 tours to Yugoslavia, both UN back to back.
Working.
And then I went for a 3rd tour with NATO in '97.
Hearing loss developed early.
Sit.
Post-traumatic stress disorder,
Sit.
PTSD, was diagnosed much later.
21 years. It was buried. Affected my work, it affected my home life.
The Canadian Mental Health Association calls PTSD a mental illness, triggered by terrifying events.
For me, it was the ethnic cleansing in Medak.
A battleground in former Yugoslavia, part of the Croatian War of Independence.
It was barbaric. The whole area smelt of rotten, burnt flesh. No animals, nothing was left living. It let the dragon out, so to speak. It opened up that door and man, woman, child, They
killed them all.
Killing would be a clean way of saying what happened there. At the worst of it, I was reliving completely. Sights, sounds, smells, what was an M1.
Tyson's early attempts to deal with his horrors failed.
At one point, I couldn't even step on grass.
Long dormant landmines reawakened. A shattered man haunted by war. He couldn't sleep, couldn't leave his house. His family was helpless to help.
At one point, when it was so vivid, I was reliving the Medak pocket day and night. I didn't want that anymore, so I did contemplate ending it.
Somehow, faith and family pulled him from the brink of self-destruction.
My son admitted to me one day that he was scared of me, and that rocked me to my core.
Now a Navy Marine engineer, PTSD has him moored to a desk.
My challenges are impacting my ability to work within my trade.
A year later, he says, the Navy's team approach to treatment, medical and psychiatric care, as well as medication, are helping to tame that dragon. But he says his courageous companion has made all the difference.
I wasn't fully aware of how much help that he would be able to give me.
Man's reliance on dogs dates back thousands of years.
Keep my aggravation, my frustration, my hypervigilance, my anxiety down.
Cully's a 2-year-old Australian Shepherd, trained since birth to be a psychiatric service dog.
Good boy, Cully.
Somehow he can sense trauma.
All I know is that he can tell.
Cully recognizes emotional overload.
My breathing, through my stress, he starts to do things that he's not supposed to do. And this could even be it.
Cully seemed out of sorts throughout the interview. Cameras can do that.
Normally when I'm relaxed, he is laid out at my feet.
When PTSD symptoms overtake him, Tyson says Cully's disturbances break the spell, forcing him to put attention on the dog.
Gets up and starts acting out, pulling or wants attention, wants me to pet him, something to distract me. Until I calm down enough, then he'll revert back to his calm state.
Today, Tyson says he can finally sit without his back to the wall.
I know subconsciously that he is watching my back.
In return, his trusted friend is cared for,
Good boy.
Loved. Courageous Companions Canada is one of a growing number of service dog training organizations, working closely with regulators to help develop a national standard, pairing dogs with people with disabilities other than visual or hearing impairment. But it's an expensive task. Tyson says organizations like Wounded Warriors and the Royal Canadian Legion help pay the $10,000 to $25,000 to purchase and train dogs. Cully now meets the BC government standard for service dogs. They've got the cards to prove it, but they're still in training.
Cully.
And although there's little research to prove that service dogs help treat PTSD, an illness that has no cure, Tyson says he'd be worse off without Cully.
Heavily medicated. Let's go. And potentially on the road to divorce.
Soon the pair will return to Winnipeg for their final 6-day assessment. For now, wherever they go, people are drawn to this biker duo.
It was an unexpected joy. I didn't expect that kind of reaction.
Talking to strangers, becoming part of the therapy.
He loves it. He loves going for a ride.
The bike itself, a rolling testament to the fallen.
Anybody that's actually put on a uniform to write that blank check that they may not come home that day.
A proclamation to others with PTSD that you're not alone.
A lot of people with PTSD cannot be in the spotlight. I made the conscious choice to be as transparent as I possibly can. He has been an amazing help for me.
Tyson's future is uncertain.
I believe I am on a good road to recovery. I am slowly getting better.
He's in remission, he says.
Hoping that I can return as close to being the person I was before.
Knowing that wherever he goes, his best friend will always follow.
And joining us in the garage, one of the cutest bikers you'll ever meet, Cully. And of course, Tyson King. So Tyson, how long did it take to get Cully used to the bike?
I rode up and down the back alley with him running beside me for about a week, and then a week behind riding on the back seat. And once he was happy with that, then I hit the road. Once I confirmed that he was good, then that's when I got the trunk made.
As a service dog,
yeah.
If one requires a service dog, how do you go about?
There are different organizations. I got mine through Courageous Companions. MSAR is the trainers for Courageous Companions, and I'm training up to become a trainer under the envelope of MSAR.
Cool.
So I understand that you're retiring from the military soon.
Yes.
What's your next step?
I'm just starting an obedience trainer business, and then I'll be including consulting for dogs, canines, working and service dogs. And then when my certification comes through, then that's when I'll incorporate that with the business.
Training new service dogs, is it for a wide range of medical conditions?
I just finished training for PTSD, but with MSAR, they don't specialize in just one dog. They've got experienced trainers for a branch of different ones. So,
wow, so it's not just a general training, it's very specific.
Very specific, yes.
Wow.
There's just a study that came out with MSAR that's actually curtailed. There's 60 plus traits that the dog can actually be trained to intercede with the whole spectrum of PTSD. So the idea of spectrum is new with the PTSD world. It just came out with this study. So hopefully things will be improved for dogs, the handlers, and the public in general.
Thanks, Tyson. Have you got a story? You know where to find us. After the break, we'll meet a young man whose ride time is mostly hang time. Up-and-coming motocross champion, 15-year-old Wyatt Euland. We'll be right back. Wyatt Euland and his parents, Jennifer and Harold. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
That was quite the show you just put on out there, Wyatt.
So, Mom, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm okay with the wheelies. It's the first corner of the races and the long jumps that make us a little nervous.
I bet you're hanging onto your seat a little bit.
We are, absolutely.
How old were you when you started?
I started riding when I was 4 and racing since I was 7.
Is that
and you're
right?
how old now?
15.
Holy smokes.
What was your first bike that you rode?
Honda 50.
Honda 50?
Yeah.
And what other ones have you had since then?
Ooh, KTM 50s, Cobras, Cobra 65s, multiple Kawasaki 85s, Kawasaki Super Mini bikes, Yamaha 125s, and my recent bike, the KTM 250.
Who are your sponsors?
Fox Canada, Spunkies, Gas and Go, Ina Motors, Ride Industries, and of course my mom and dad.
The bank of mom and dad.
Yeah, that's it.
So have you won any classes that you raced in at all, Wyatt?
Yes, there's a big race in Raymond, Alberta. It's the Western Canadians, and I have won the Super B class. Yeah.
Western Canadian champ in your class.
Yes.
Way to go.
Thank you.
You must have a stack of trophies
at
home.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You can barely get into my room.
Is that right?
My goodness.
Must keep you busy. Like, what different tracks have you been on?
There's tracks all over the island. Nanaimo, Victoria, Campbell River, Port Alberni, Port McNeill, all over the mainland, down in the States, in Alberta.
We put in roughly 120,000 kilometers
Holy
on our
smokes.
truck in the last 5 years.
Wow. That's more than hockey parents.
Oh, yeah.
That answers the question how you get there.
It's a lot of camping.
That's awesome, Wyatt. On our next show, Clive gives us a closer look into the life of this dedicated family and their dirt-loving son. Have you got a story or know someone who does? Send us an email. Share it with us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, and we'll share it with the world. We hope you enjoyed hanging out with us at Farkle Garage. Remember, there are 2 types of people in the world, those who ride motorcycles and those who wish they could. Later, bitch.
Riding gear provided by Clive. Technical riding gear.